to a new episode of Nonstop Nikhil. Today is Saturday, January the 14th, and it's such a gorgeous day here in Nairobi. Just leaving my apartment to head out and grab some coffee and breakfast before I start my plans around noon. And I have plans to go to a local neighborhood here with a host, check out the local markets, and figure out exactly how one cooks a Kenyan meal for lunch. I'm at the cafe to grab coffee and some breakfast before heading downtown to start the activity for today. And I'm just having complete Nairobi envy. Like, it's so nice, super fancy locations, really nice neighborhood that I'm staying in. It's called Riverside, and I would 110% recommend that you all stay here. It's a bit hidden in between some of the more popular neighborhoods such as Westland, where we were earlier, or Kilimani or Lavington. It's a really small neighborhood, basically just centered around one street called Riverside Drive. Really nice cafes, restaurants, and at the same time you're not as far from the city center as you might be in some of the other neighborhoods such as Lavington or Kilimani. You're pretty close, and you're also a close walking distance to the malls in Westland. And it all feels like it's sort of like one neighborhood which bleeds into each other, but Riverside is much quieter and has a lot of like the nice high-rise apartments that you can get that are furnished and are actually rented out, almost like hotels. And I can tell you, like, the amenities there are great. You get really good complete hot water. Everything just really comfortable, and I'm happy to be enjoying it here in Nairobi. I also had to go through pretty much like airport-like security, as if I was crossing an international border to even like get onto the building where this cafe is located. They scanned my passport, they put it into their system, they searched my bags through an x-ray machine and everything, so security is definitely top of mind here. But obviously this is not the life that like the majority of people here live. Not even like the CBD is probably representative of that, but I like to show you the whole range of experiences, the whole range of realities, and especially when people have such weird notions of what living on the African continent is like. Like I was saying yesterday, that there are no cities, that there are just like lions roaming around. It's important that I show you all aspects of life, and I'm also comfortable here at a cafe, so I'm just making an excuse for sitting here at a beautiful cafe and enjoying this coffee and my breakfast on a Saturday morning outside with this beautiful weather. So after getting back to the CBD in Nairobi, I'm on a Matatu. A Matatu, one of these like shared minivans, and where am I going? Kasarani neighborhood of Nairobi. And where is that in comparison to central Nairobi? Is it north? The north. Okay, so that's another neighborhood, and I don't think it's like a very like local neighborhood. Okay, so we're going to a local neighborhood to see exactly another ways that people live here. You know, to want to see all different ways. But the interesting thing is even just how you get there. So we're on this Matatu, and it's like almost like a party bus. And you can choose whichever sort of style you want. You can check them out. They all kind of like go to the same area. And you can do want a quieter one, do you want a more like happening one. This one's a pretty happening one. There's even like a huge like screen, and it's like broadcasting YouTube. And yeah, apparently it's gonna be a fun ride. How long does it take to get to Kasarani? 20-30 minutes. Okay. Yeah, so our plan today is to go shopping in the market, and then we're going to prepare a typical Kenyan meal. Again, ugali. I've been hearing about ugali like from everybody. Whenever you're in, I think Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, it's all ugali. Yeah. Everyone talks about ugali. I had it on my first day here, but we're going to actually like make it, so that will be a good experience. So this business is so intense, and there's just so many of these matatus here that in order to make sure that they're competitive, they want to show that they want to show to other clients that there are actually people sitting in a vehicle, because no one wants to board a vehicle that's completely empty, because then you start getting a bit suspicious. So there are people who've been telling me, Brian, whose entire job is just to sit in the bus while people are boarding, to make it look like that's a bus that's appealing to people, that people want to get on, and so more people get onto that bus and then the bus can leave. But literally they just do that. They just come here, sit down, and then when other people come here, they leave. Yeah. And then they go sit in another bus. And that's just their job. It's insane, but I guess that's how you need to draw in business, so whatever it takes, right? Whoa, okay. Just finished our first Matatu ride. I can barely like hear.
Yeah, we can't even talk inside.
Yeah. Where are we headed? This way? Headed this way. Okay, perfect. I feel like so much of my past 3 months has not necessarily been about where I'm going, but how I get there. And that Matatu ride was definitely one of the most unique modes of transportation I've seen over the past 3 months. So if we're going to cook today, I think we've decided on cooking a goat stew with the Ugali staple that is common all over East Africa. But to do that, obviously we have to come to the market and purchase our ingredients. Here we go. This is definitely not a Carrefour or Target situation, but really interesting. So far, we've picked up the vegetables for about 300 shillings. That's about $2 or something. We picked up some spices, the chicken stock cube, as well as coconut milk from the smaller grocery store out here. And then we've just got to get our meat. But the thing is, like, after that Matatu ride, I'm still completely deaf. I cannot hear anything. Whenever Brian tries to tell me anything, I'm like, hey, what did you say? I'm like really, really close to him. Still cannot hear, but I guess people get used to it. It's not that that's the one option for Matatus. It's just that because the population is so young here, there are... something in my eye. Just because the population is so young here, there is enough demand for that kind of high energy transportation. But there are also just regular, not pimped out Matatu rides for people who just want the quiet, or people who are older and would like a more tranquil ride home from the city. We're just picking up our meat from the butchers. We opted for the goat meat, but as you can see all the carcasses hanging out right here, appealing the clients to come in and buy their meat from here. The thing is, at least the meat is fresh. You definitely will not be finding meat that is packaged in plastic cartons and then frozen and then shipped across the country before you buy it at the grocery store, like we normally do at Whole Foods or wherever that might be. This is definitely hanging here, not frozen, and being cut off the bone for you depending on how much you order, and then it's weighed, and then the butcher will even like cut it up for you so it can go straight into your stew. So everybody has been asking me how I like Kenya, and I tell them, yeah, it's great. And the thing is that I compare it to the other countries in East Africa, as everyone wants to know, oh yeah, how is Kenya in comparison to Uganda? And the thing is, it's a lot better than Uganda. It's pretty clean here. You don't feel air pollution as much as you would in Kampala. It's also relatively clean because it seems like they've banned the plastic bags here. And I don't know if they've formally done that in Uganda, but you see plastic bags piled up everywhere in Kampala. It's also just not as generally chaotic seeming here as what you would have seen in my previous videos in Kampala. There's plenty of room to breathe and have some space to yourself, and it doesn't just seem like it's a market bleeding into another market, bleeding into another market. I think the cities are just a bit better planned here. So after 3 months of just eating restaurant food, I'm finally at Brian's place being domestic. We're in an actual kitchen, chopping up vegetables, spicing our own food and the like. So it's a good feeling to do this after so many months of just literally sitting there and having just food being brought to you and not knowing what goes into it. Here you can make it exactly the way you want.
Got some goat meat.
Yes, yeah. So we've got the goat meat, we've got the peppers in, chopped up the tomatoes, garlic, and other vegetables, and the cilantro. All dumping it in to make the stew.
It's a goat stew.
Yeah, goat stew.
Next is
Yeah, it looks like all the typical spices.
cumin?
Turmeric, cumin. Yeah, cumin.
so I don't usually. I just do it with my eyes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I do too.
Okay.
It's time for the ugali now.
Ugali.
Watching all the magic happen in front of my eyes. But it's really just a simple staple dish.
Yeah.
It's just water and then the maize flour. And then you just keep gradually adding more maize flour to fit the amount of water that you have. And then based on whether you like it runny or you like it like a big thick ugali, you just keep adding more maize flour. You don't add any other flavoring or any other spices or any tempering to it. It's just the water and the maize flour, and then you eat it to complement the gravy or the stew that you make. So the curry that we made today is the goat, but it's also in a base of coconut milk, so very similar to our Indian curries. Maybe just different spices. No, actually, a lot of the same spices. You have turmeric, cumin, you added curry powder, salt. We added some green chili.
That's it. So not as complicated, but
Yeah.
just
Yeah, you've got to work for it though.
Yeah.
You have to work for your ugali. You have
Yeah,
to
you
like
have to.
pound it.
imagine if you're cooking for like 100 people.
Yeah, again, this is ugali for 2 people.
Yeah, that is not.
But you really have to work for it.
Yeah, for someone who's cooking for like 100 people, you actually see him stepping on something and then doing this, and then he's sweating.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you have to sweat for this. It's not a joke.
So for what a simple dish ugali really is, there's so much like care and concern put into the details. Yeah, like you need to shape it, you need to make sure if it's all like cooked evenly, the inside and out, and yeah, it's really about the appearance. I mean, stew is stewing, ugali is done. Is it done? I don't know.
It's not done.
It's not done.
It's not yet done. It's
Okay.
still.
Looks like our lunch is ready. We've got cucumber, avocado, the ugali, our goat stew, and I think kale is also coming up. I know it's interesting because kale is always cooked here, and that's like the greens that accompanies the meal. Whereas like I've never cooked kale before. I've always eaten it as like a raw salad, like we do in the U.S. But it's always interesting. It's just regular kale, and it comes pre-shredded, which is so convenient. Hello everyone, I hope you're having a good night. It's almost 11 p.m. right now, and I'm back in my Airbnb after having such a great afternoon and evening out in Nairobi. Met a lot of friends, and met friends of friends, going to bars, cafes, and just roaming around town. After lunch, I went to a rooftop called Unseen Nairobi in the neighborhood of Kilimani. Highly recommend that one. And then later on, met up with some friends at a place called The Alchemist, which is this whole bar, restaurant, boutique setup that you can enter, and it's just full of different establishments all in one, and it's really nice. And then went for dinner at Art Cafe, which is sort of this all-encompassing restaurant and cafe chain that you find all around Nairobi. I'm not exactly sure where it's based, but you see them all across the city, and the food is really nice. And if you go to the one in the Oval in Parklands, the outdoor seating area is just exactly what you want to end your day with. But I am ending my day early. I'm not continuing to go out for the night with all the people I've met, because I've got an early start tomorrow at around 7 a.m. I'm expecting to be picked up for nothing other than the quintessential experience here in East Africa. It's exactly what most people come to this region of the world for. And while it's not my primary aim, I'm fortunate to be able to enjoy this aspect of the travel experience here in East Africa, and that is none other than the safari. Hoping I get lucky and see all the big 5 here in Kenya, But before I do that, I've got to pack my bags, reorganize my bags, so I only take one bag with me, and I think I'm just going to leave my big bag here because I'm going to be coming back to Nairobi for one final night before I leave Kenya. But with that, I've got a lot of work to do, and I want to get to bed so I can be up early for our departure. But with that, I hope you enjoyed even getting a look at what a typical neighborhood here in Nairobi looks like, meeting Brian, doing a little bit of cooking, and then just, I don't know, chilling, enjoying the good life here in Nairobi. With that, have a good night, everyone. Take care. Bye.